And so we were hoping either we could see them cutting off to the left or right and try and cut them off, or if they were running out into those pastures, we'd be able to see them. These sons of bitches just disappeared. I have no idea where they went. They were never very far from us. We looked everywhere. I don't know. They just absolutely slipped us, and it was a little frustrating. So we spend some time trying to figure them out. Have no idea where they went. So we get started. We get set up to glass off of this point, and fairly quickly find an older buck kind of perusing through, and but he never really stopped. He was in and out of bushes and trees the whole time. Never really got a great look at him. Hey, what is going on, guys? This is Red, White, and Moose, the show dedicated to the relentless pursuit of excellence, whether it's behind a trigger, in a competition, or just in the daily grind of life. Everything we do demands precision. Guys, this weekend was freaking badass. I got my first Aoudad on a hunt this weekend. I got to break in the 25/7 PRC from West Texas Ordnance. I'm freaking stoked about it. We're going to get into it. Before we get into the hunt, this episode is brought to you by Alpha Munitions, Lone Peak Arms, Collis, Foundation Stocks, Hawkins Precision, West Texas Ordnance, Raven Rifles, and Botnia Solutions. I love you guys. I couldn't do it without you. Here's a quick word from our partners. Alpha Munitions sets the gold standard for rifle brass. Their OCD technology has been the first improvement for rifle brass in decades. I use it for hunting, competing. I use it in the business. Honestly, it's just the easy button for getting your ammo to shoot good. If you're looking to get the most out of your ammo, or you want to lower your SDs, make sure you start out your ammo with a good foundation and use good quality brass. Find out why more top competitors are using Alpha Munitions brass in the PRS than any other brand. Next time you're getting your ammo started, make sure you start it out with Alpha Munitions brass. This show is partnered with Collis. Collis is the world's oldest successful rifle scope manufacturer, so it's no surprise with that many years of experience, they've released their game-changing lineup. The K328i and the K540i truly are game changers. With a 40% wider field of view, they make a huge difference in competition and in the field. I love the DLR models with the easy-to-read elevation turrets, and they've got top-tier glass that provides the ultimate color and clarity. When you're ready to be at the top of your game, you need a game-changing scope from Collis. Check out the K328 and K540i. This episode is brought to you by Lone Peak Arms. Lone Peak makes absolutely amazing competition and hunting actions. Their Razor Infusion line is available in short and long action, left or right, and stainless or titanium. I've been running Lone Peaks for years, and I've run them in snowy, muddy, sandy conditions, and they just keep on ticking. Your action is the heart of your rifle, and make sure you're starting it off strong. Next rifle you get going, make sure you start it out with a Lone Peak action. This episode is brought to you by Foundation Stocks. I've been using Foundation's micarta line of stocks for years, and now with their new hybrid line combining micarta, carbon fiber, and Kevlar, you get that dead recoil impulse that their competition stocks have been known for, now in a lightweight hunting rifle that's light enough to take into the woods. I've been running their Centurion and Samson and Revelation, and now I have their Ezekiel and Gideon stocks, and I absolutely love them. Feel less and see more with Foundation stocks. This show is partnered with Raven Rifles. Raven Rifles produces artwork that shoots. Their custom Lurk Cerakote pattern provides depth and colors that honestly most patterns just dream of. Their limited release rifles are truly a work of art. They're available in limited numbers and guaranteed to be an eye catcher. I absolutely love the Lurk pattern. You can see the Snow Wolf and Copperhead patterns on the rifles behind me. They just truly become functional works of art. When you're looking to stand out above the rest, check out Raven Rifles. This show is partnered with Botnia Solutions. Botnia makes the most high-performing muzzle brakes on the market. They've got a low dust signature, so you're not getting the crap beat out of you when you're shooting prone. They've got upward-facing ports to help drive the rifle down when you're shooting positional and be able to see more through your scope. I love them. I've been running the MIDI on my hunting rifles and my NRL Hunter setup and couldn't be happier with it. And then when I need the most, I put the Maxi. I've got that on my PRS rifle. And when you need all of the recoil control that you can possibly get, look no further than Botnia Solutions. This episode is brought to you by West Texas Ordnance. West Texas Ordnance is a full-service custom rifle shop, and that full-service custom rifle shop is located on a 2,500-yard shooting range. It doesn't get any cooler than that. They cut all of my barrels for my hunting rifles, competition rifles, test barrels, and they are all absolute hammers. Check out their patented switch leg system for easy, repeatable barrel swaps, or the saw line of cartridges now including the 7 saw, 22 saw, and 25 saw. From their signature series of rifles all the way to their full custom rifles, they've got you covered. Next time you get a rifle going, check out West Texas Ordnance. This show is partnered with Hawkins Precision. Hawkins makes precision rifle hunting components built to help you go further and shoot farther. From lightweight hunting rings to heavy tactical rings to hunter bottom metals and flush magazines, they've got you covered. I run Hawkins on all of my rifles. I've got their ultralight rings, their heavy tack rings, the cantilever mount, one piece mount for PRS, their M5 bottom metal, hunter bottom metals. I absolutely love it. I run them on everything. Next time you're getting a rifle going, make sure you finish it out with Hawkins Precision. All right, guys, my name is Mike Burdis. I am the moose of this shit show, and we're going to get into this episode. Guys, welcome back. I hope, so first off, it's Black Friday today that this episode is coming out. I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. It's I would like let me know what y'all think, but I feel like Thanksgiving definitely kind of gets the short end of the stick for the holiday season. Um Now, I will say we definitely can be guilty of it in our household, but one of the things that just it gets, and it's really just the principle of the thing, but I hate it when Christmas decorations go up before Thanksgiving, and it's really just the principle of the thing of I feel like you're just skipping over the being grateful parts and skipping to the we get shit, and that's just a personal thing, but it sometimes, I look, life gets freaking hectic, and we generally end up getting Christmas decorations up before Thanksgiving in our house, but we don't really ever host Thanksgiving, so it's not really a big deal, and it's just kind of works for the schedule. But I say all that to say, make sure you're taking some time and being appreciative of what you've got. And if it didn't hit you yesterday, maybe take a moment today. Whether a lot of us are with family today, or I hope you're not Black Friday shopping or dealing with crowds. At least that's not my freaking cup of tea. But I would challenge everyone to take a moment and really think about what's going on in your life, and I damn sure do it. I'll get kind of beat down a little bit about, I got to get this done and this done and this done, or this didn't go the way I wanted, or whatever the case is, and we can get bogged down in just the daily crap that's kicking us in life. But there is a lot of good things, whether it's family or friends or our health or your job or work or the things you have. I mean, shit, material things can be cool. I'm not trying to say they're everything, but shit can be fun sometimes. Or going hunting, or just getting some time to yourself, whatever the case is. But there's a lot of things that we can end up taking for granted. Our health and happiness and things like that being kind of high up on that list. So take a moment, take stock of what's going on in your life. What is good, and if it's not where you want it to be, what can we do to change that? So it's, I'm recording this episode, early, the week of Thanksgiving. I'm getting ready. We'll have Thanksgiving here in a few days, and I always look forward to it. Family has always been a very important thing in my life, and I have a pretty small family. Um, but we've always gotten together, and recently in the last few years we've had like aunts and uncles that did live all over the country, have moved back to Texas, so we're getting to see them more, and it's really nice. And I really look forward to honestly just shutting the phone off and disconnect, disconnecting from work and the stresses and just being around the family. So I hope y'all got to do that and or getting to do that or hunting. Shit. Get out, get hunting. I've always wanted to hunt over Thanksgiving weekend, but with the family stuff, it's that's priority. But I've always thought it would be a really fun weekend to be out, and I have a lot of friends that get to do that, or that's like their family tradition or whatever it is. So it's cool. And I'll get into the hunt and all this stuff here in a minute, but I touched on this. I think it was last week's, but hunting is my happy place and my de-stressor and everything. Just being out in the woods, out in nature, and watching animals, and I feel a deeper connection with God, and I get to kind of just be in my own thoughts, and I love it. And, getting to this time of the year, the year's coming to an end, and holiday seasons are kicking off, and it starts to be a very, very busy, super stressful time for a lot of people. Myself included. There's a ton going on, but I think you should maybe take a step back. Like I said, this year has absolutely just worn my ass down in a lot of ways, and it's just trying to keep the mental energy up and the physical energy up and staying positive and pushing through, and just all the late nights and the no sleep, and uh we can all get burned out, or you start just dragging ass, and feeling like you're burning the candle at both ends. And I guess I say that to hunting is just that kind of fix all for me for this. And um I hope maybe that it's the same for you, and if it's not, maybe think of it that way. Going from I'm busy nonstop, and most of the people that I talk to are as well, and we're going a million miles an hour, and we got jobs and friends and family, and now the holidays. And life is 100 miles an hour, but then when you can step out into those woods and just everything freezes, it it's such a cool release, and I needed it. I really needed these couple of hunts that I got to go on recently. And yeah, it was a really good reset. I feel like I'm getting kind of back to myself a little bit. I've got, we've been knocking out orders and getting caught back up, and getting a lot of the show is running, and I'm loving I love the comments and messages and texts, so please keep sending them. I love the feedback and the funny comments. So but this is up and rolling, and like things are just really starting to yeah, it's good, I love it. Anyways, so all right. Anyways, so moving into it, a couple of updates. So I'm getting a bow. I'm not gonna go super into it yet because I'm still figuring everything out. I think I've got, for the most part, everything kind of lined out, but I'm getting a bow, and I'm gonna do what I'm best at, and freaking nerd out, and we're going deep. We're gonna do a deep dive into some bow stuff, and I'll keep y'all posted as everything comes along. And there's a reason I'm getting a bow, and we'll get into more of that later, probably in a few weeks. But I used to shoot bows before I really started getting into the rifle stuff, and I liked it. I never really went like super deep into it. I remember I had a Bowtech Carbon Knight. That's about the only thing I remember about the setup. But I liked it, and I got fairly decent at it. I won a local 3D tournament right before I stopped shooting. Um, but we're gonna be getting deep into it, and I'm hoping, we're still figuring out or finalizing stuff on the setup and figuring out exactly what all I'm gonna get. But I'm hoping that's here in the next month or two, and getting everything. So I'll keep y'all posted on that. That should be a lot of fun. For those that do shoot archery, uh, send me your like your bow setups. I'm really curious as to what you're running, why you chose it. If there's certain things like I've kind of already got everything picked out for the most part, but I really like to because I've been out of shooting bows for a hot minute. So I'm going back into it. And I've been researching a crap ton. Picking back up on what's changed and getting the new setup picked out and everything. But yes, send me your bow setups, or if you're excited about archery content, let me know, or things that you may want to see. But getting into the hunts, so let me grab the gun. So it's this bad boy. I freaking love how this thing turned out. And if you haven't, so go follow me on Instagram. It's at the Mike Burdis. I've been really working on posting more content, working on getting like better pictures. I've really been digging into like the photography and camera setups and lighting, and hopefully y'all can tell the studio is looking a lot better, and this stuff is coming out good. But I'm really trying to work on putting out better pictures, better videos. But I just posted a badass set of pictures on this rifle. But I absolutely love how it turned out. So as you can tell, the immediate eye catcher is the Cerakote job. This is the Copperhead. So the color is called Copperhead. The lurk pattern from Raven Rifles. Got that picked up uh, about a week and a half ago. Starting off, we got, so this is a Lone Peak Fusion long action with a switch lug from West Texas Ordnance. I got a CRB Hunter profile barrel blank. West Texas Ordnance did all the gunsmithing. It's chambered in 25/7 PRC and cut to 24 inches. I've got let's see, this is a Thunder Beast Ultra 7, the 6.5 suppressor on it with the Armageddon gear suppressor cover. It's all sitting in a Foundation Revelation. This is kind of their midweight long range micarta hunter stock that's been out for a while. Got the Hawkins Precision Hunter bottom metal with the Hawkins um Hunter magazine, the flush fit. This is the long action Magnum mags, hold 3 rounds. Then it's got the short Arca rail and then the Picatinny rail up front. This for mounting on a tripod. I've got the MDT triple pull sky pod on here. I don't normally run the triple pull on this setup, but my single pull is on another gun that's not here at the moment, so I took the triple pull with me. And then I've got the Hawkins. These are the heavy tack rings, and they're holding a Leupold Mark V 5-25. And for the ammo, I was running ADG is now making head stamp 25/7 PRC brass for West Texas Ordnance. I got some of that. Neck down to 25 and running the 133 grain burgers. And this load, I thought it was going to end up being a little faster, but I didn't really have time to validate a whole lot before I went out. But this was running 30 to 40. So I mean, it's still very fast, but I thought it was going to be a little faster. But very fast, very good. This gun is shooting absolutely fantastic. And yeah, so I was able to get that zeroed and run out to distance a couple weeks ago when I was at Tres Niños, and it shot freaking fantastic. And took this one out this weekend. I was really looking forward to getting to hunt with it. I'll kind of get into I'm going to go through the hunt and everything. The gun, I absolutely loved. Honestly, everything about it. The one thing, and this isn't a knock, so this is the tab gear sling. I've had this sling for quite a while, and to be honest, it's a really good sling, and it's very functional for a lot of different things. But I didn't necessarily like it the best as like a hunting sling. Um, if y'all have a good hunting sling that you really like, shoot me a message on Instagram. Let me know. That's kind of the one thing I haven't really dug deep down on is a good hunting sling. I've looked at the new like hunting line from Armageddon Gear. I might get one of those. Um, but if you've got one that you like, let me know. But the weight, honestly, I thought the weight, because and I've talked about weight on hunting rifles a lot on this channel. I thought, now this is my heaviest. Let's see, let me make sure. Yeah, this is my heaviest hunting setup. I think it weighs, well, with the triple, I normally don't run the triple pull. Maybe with the triple pull, it's like 15 pounds, 14 and a half, something like that. I think it, because it normally sits around 13 to 13 and a half. Um, but we hiked around all day. Wasn't bad. Um, just the sling was a little uncomfortable, but it is what it is. But the setup was good. And we'll get into the hunt, but I loved. I really really like, and I've shot that gun a bunch. It's the first time getting to hunt with it in that configuration, so it went really good. But so like I said last week, I was really looking forward to the hunt at Tres Niños. That's an easy, fun, doe management hunt. And then I was really looking forward to just trying to get one good hunt in for the year. Um, kind of move some things around essentially, and then this opportunity came up, and I was very excited to get to go. I went with Sloan from West Texas Ordnance, and he's become a good friend of mine, and so I appreciate him and Clayton letting me go out there. Sincerely, that was so much fun. But so we get out. So the goal was, we were essentially going to roll up right at legal shooting light, and Sloan is getting to know that place pretty well, and our goal was hopefully see mule deer, because that they're not super prevalent in that area, but they had started seeing some recently, so we were kind of hoping to see that. We ended up not seeing any mule deer. Second priority was trying to get an aoudad, which um, he didn't really think was gonna, like, the odds were pretty low. And then going for a whitetail management buck. And so he had an idea, or he knew like where the mule deer had been spotted and kind of where the aoudad are passing through. And so we're going up to this the top of this cap rock to glass, and that's kind of where everything had been crossing through and spotted. And as we're coming up, I look over on the left, and there's two or three aoudad running off, and we pointed at them, and we finished coming up this hill, and Sloan's looking off to the left for them, can't find them, and I look over to the right, and there's another group of like probably eight aoudad, a couple babies up to there were a few ewes and a few rams, a couple younger ones, couple older ones. Anyways, they were all, but they had seen us and they were running off, and they were running the direction that he believed they crossed to get, because he didn't think they stay on that place, but really just use it to pass through. And so we hurried and parked and grabbed our gear and started trying to get down the fence line to cut them off, and never saw them, and started glassing, and sure enough, they beat us under the fence onto the neighboring property, and they were hundreds of yards gone. So but it was kind of a fun immediate start to the morning. And so where we ended up uh, was only a couple hundred yards from where we were going to start glassing anyways. So we started walking over there, and we're kind of starting to get set up, and I was facing Sloan talking to him, and all of a sudden he's just like, Mike, don't move. There's aoudad behind you. And so I very slowly go to a knee, and turn around, and they had already seen us and were running off, but where they had been bedded down on this point, at the edge of this point, and I mean they were, I don't know, 100 yards behind us. And so I start trying to go off to the left, and Sloan works his way around to the right, and we were essentially trying to visually be able to cut them off so we could at least see where they were going, because coming down from the top of this cap rock, rock faces, and then just goes out into these big pastures, very, very large, that you can see forever. And so we were hoping either we could see them cutting off to the left or right and try and cut them off, or if they were running out into those pastures, we'd be able to see them. These sons of bitches just disappeared. I have no idea where they went. They were never very far from us. We looked everywhere. I don't know. They just absolutely slipped us, and uh, it was a little frustrating. We spend some time trying to figure them out. Have no idea where they went. So we get started. We get set up to glass off of this point, and fairly quickly find an older buck, kind of perusing through, and but he never really stopped. He was in and out of bushes and trees the whole time. Never really got a great look at him. Um, but there was a feeder, I guess, off, I don't know, half a mile or so, the direction he was headed. So we kind of assumed he was heading in that direction. And then we saw uh, another buck. He was probably like a 2-year old 10. Once we kind of figured out what he was, we moved to the other side of the cap rock to kind of hopefully see where that other buck went, and into the draw where the feeder was, and he couldn't find him, but we stayed up there for a while, and we watched that 10 kind of bebopping around out in the pasture, and then all of a sudden he came out with that older buck. I don't know where he was bedded down or what, but they started walking together, and got a good look at him. Uh, Decided that he was a shooter, or should be taken, and he was, I'm gonna guess, a 4 or 5 year old. Um, but he was just a big body. He had pretty good mass, but just honestly pretty bad genetics. Pretty short, broken off in a handful of spots. Just a great management buck. And so ranged him, and he was at like 720. And I got down on the gun. The conditions were really good, really good. We'd been up there for a little bit, and I've been watching, watching the mirage, and taking some wind readings, and it'd been essentially just 2 or 3 miles an hour, very steady, same direction. And so I felt really comfortable with the shot, but he was never stopped moving, and kind of bad position, so just kind of waiting to see for an opportunity to open up. And him and the younger 10 start walking off towards this creek, and I had him on, and I was watching him, and when I got on, I was comfortable with the shot, but once he got to about 800, he started looking pretty small in the scope, and the direction he was heading, I just really didn't feel good about it. And I watched him till he got to about 950 or so, and it's like, this isn't this. So called it on that. And we went and got back in the truck and headed over that direction to see if we could kind of, because there was another feeder off in that general direction a ways off, and so we didn't know if they were going there, up and down the creek, and so we tried to find him, never could, but we had an idea he was in the area, so we think we could come back in the evening. And drove over to another spot that has a bunch of draws and ravines coming through that uh, he had seen Aoudad in before, and started glassing for them there. And pretty quick found another buck. He's probably a 3-year-old, with a doe, and he was just hard pinned to her. He would not leave her alone. His neck's all rutted up, and um it was fun. We got to watch them for probably 30 minutes or so. And so it was just cool. I mean, just literally from the second we got there, it was just, we were on something or getting to watch something. So they finally walked off, and we weren't seeing anything else, and so we started walking back to the truck, and we were, I don't know, like 150 yards from the truck, and I looked over to my right, and I was like, hey, Sloan, there's something over there, and I got my binos up, and there was a pretty good Aoudad ram just walking along, and I got on my binos, and Sloan was just standing there like looking at me. I was like, dude, there's an Aoudad right there. And and then he finally saw, he's like, oh shit. And And I dropped to, because he's only like 300 yards, and so I dropped to a knee, and Sloan moved up to get behind like a bush to get to get behind cover, and he saw us and started running off. That was a that one kind of hurt because he was pretty solid, and so we got our stuff and went after him. Went over the hill, and it was right over that hill is where all these ravines and draws meet up, and there's 4 or 5 of them, and it's very hilly and lots of brush, and he disappeared. We had no idea where he went. There was a million routes he could have gone, but while we were looking, standing there looking for him, Sloan saw like a really nice 8 and some does, like a couple 100 yards off, but they ran off. And then while I was, I don't know, 50 yards to the left of Sloan, and I was glassing, and then I just hear "Tudun, tudun, tudun, tudun," and I whip over, I'm staring at this. I mean, a mature 8-point bucks on the other side of this bush, like 20 yards from me, just staring me down through my binoculars, and it's just like, shit. And it reminded me of that meme where his cousin's like, oh shit, and it's like I was thinking that, he was thinking that, and then he turned around and ran off. Um, and he immediately, because there was a ton of trees, he immediately disappeared in all this stuff, and so we glassed for a little bit, couldn't really find anything. Got back to the truck, drove around to the other side of this, looked back in the other way, and didn't really see anything. And so by this point, it's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and it just kind of been go, 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 go. And we finally kind of hit a lull there for about an hour. And we drove around and glassed from a few different areas. And so then we went back over to the area where we started the morning, with where the first group Aoudad went under the fence, found the second group, and then found those bucks. And so where the feeder was, where we thought that first buck was going to, I kind of set up on another point that was, we could see that, but then see off into where everything had gone into the pastures. And so we get set up, and sure enough, we find the buck from the morning with some does. But he's like a mile away, and he's on another property. But he's just pinned to these does, and they're very slowly but surely making their way towards us. And so essentially, we were just hoping that they would eventually meander back onto this side of the fence. But even if they did, it was at like 1,300 yards. And we're trying to kind of make a game plan of, if they do, can we get down there and make a move without them seeing us? Or because it was going to be really hard to make a play. And so we're watching, and they're moving just way too slow. They're very much hanging out over there, and so we like, okay, they're not going to make it, and it's getting kind of late at this point. So like, well, let's just stay here and see if anything shows up. And sunset hits, and starting to get dark. And then all of a sudden, Sloan's like, Mike, they're Aoudad. And right at the top of this point, look over, and this Aoudad ram was just standing there. And I that like first look through the binos was just so cool. And he wasn't a monster, like he's not giant or any means, by any means. I'm super happy with it for being my first Aoudad. But ranged him, he was at like 645, I think, and was just kind of looking around, and started walking off, and he dipped down back behind this hill. While we couldn't see him and he couldn't see us, I was like, Sloan, do you want to get on the gun and start getting ready, and I'll get yardages and everything? And he's like, no, you shoot him. I was like, okay. And so I had been sitting down, had my tripod set up with a tack plate and my bag on it, and I had my binos on there glassing, had my rifle sitting next to me. So moved over, got the rifle set up, laid down. The thing that was super nice, and I definitely didn't need the triple pull for this, but the sky pod was clutch, because we were up on this point, and it was just very rocky, and it was kind of where the buttstock was like one level, and then it dropped off a few inches, and then dropped off a few inches, and then kind of kept stair stepping down. And so I got brought one leg in, pulled one down, and then the other one was like one was pulled out 2 or 3 notches, and the other one was down like 6 or 7. Um, just it was I love that. I love those bipods. If you haven't looked at the Skypods, highly recommend checking them out. And that now the new Gen 3s are out from MDT. I'm gonna have to get one for a couple of these new builds, but they're just so incredibly adjustable. It just makes it very easy. Anyways, so getting set up, and he comes up over this hill, and over the hill that he was behind, and I range him, and he's at 475. And I just had my binos up on top of the gun watching him, but he was facing uh directly away from me. Yeah, directly away. And then he was just off to the left of this big tree. And he moved behind that. It was just feeding around. And so I ranged where he was at, got it was 470, 475. And then I ranged the tree that he was in front of and was getting like 360. And I was just sitting there watching him, and me and Sloan were talking, and he was like, let's see if he comes in a little bit. And I was like, yeah, I want to see if I can get him closer. And then he just stays behind this tree and is just feeding around and feeding around. And I told Sloan, I was like, hey man, it's getting late. Like we've got to make a move. So I was like, as soon as he steps out left or right, I'm gonna have to take a shot. And so I was laying there, and I just started ranging all up and down the hill, left and right of this tree, trying to get. Essentially, I was just trying to build a guess of where I thought he might walk out, and because I could see the outline of him through the tree and just see him moving back and forth, and so I was trying to guess. And so sure enough, he comes out to the left. I take a guess, and I take a couple clicks out of my elevation, because I'd originally dialed for the 475. And he's walking, and I get and he's walking very slow. And again, at this time, that very little wind. There's like a 3 or 4 mile an hour wind. Um, and I was like, if I can take a shot with him walking. And so I set up to get ahead of him just a little bit, and then he stops. So then I jerk back over, make the get my wind hold, send the shot. And and by the way, I'll have pictures up on my Instagram of the Aoudad. I just finished editing them right before this. And then Sloan was filming it on through his spotter. And I'll put that in here as well. But shot, and he fell, and I was starting to get ready to load another one, and Sloan, and he when he fell, was still like, he stiffened up real hard, and he had his head up, and Sloan was like, get ready for another one. And I was waiting, and he was just stiff. He was just stiff and holding on there. But when he fell, I could essentially just see like the 2 or 3 inches. I could see like his spine, and then his neck going up. So I was trying to search to see if I could get another shot in him. And then he kind of slumped down, and then I could only see essentially from about like his nose up. And Sloan was like, hey, if you can put another shot in him, do it. And I was like, I can't. And so I got up to try and I was going to hop up on my tripod and try and get another shot in him. And when I did that, he expired, or what we assumed he did. We couldn't see him anymore. And so, and this happened, I think I took the shot with maybe like 7 minutes left of legal shooting light. So it was getting late. And and so once, uh, so he stopped moving, just to make sure, because we were gonna do some coyote hunting that night. Sloan had a thermal, went and grabbed his thermal, and I just watched him, and Sloan started crossing this canyon to get across to him. And he got over there. He was dead, and so I got all the stuff together, drove the truck over, and walked over. And man, honestly, I like I said, this was my first Aoudad. It was so cool walking up on him. He was bigger and standing over him than I thought he was going to be, which is always a plus. And I'll put pictures up here. Like I said, not claiming he's, a stud or anything, but like that. But I'm super freaking amped about it for my first one. Which, and by the way, I got some texts and DMs from y'all about the great verse form joke. Glad y'all liked it. I have a very twisted sense of humor that it will continue to come out on the show. I think we all have to be able to laugh at ourselves and and everything else. So I'm glad y'all liked it. But these are freaking dope. I do really like them. So but yeah, it was awesome. It was really cool getting to see him up close, put hands on him. Um and man, I know some people love Aoudad, some people hate them. Being from West Texas, I've always thought they were super cool animals. Um and I told Sloan, earlier in the day while we were, trying to make a stock on them a few times, I didn't realize how freaking fast they are. Um, those because they look in my eyes, they look about as athletic as a potato. And, but good God, they can run. But yeah, and then walking up on them, I was just like, holy shit, man, this thing is just solid freaking muscle. And we had to drag him about, I think it was about 1,200 yards, and it was dark and a shit ton of cactus, and it it was a rough drag getting him out of there. But yeah, my I was it we he's heavy. He was heavy. It was cool. But yeah, so got him back to the truck. Sloan snapped a picture for me. I hated the picture. The just the for what it is. I mean, it's dark. We had the truck lights pointed, and so I had, because of the way that the position was built, my hat kept hitting the scope. So I just took it off. I took my hat and sunglasses off and laid them next to the truck. Well, and then or next to the gun. Well, then when I left, I accidentally left my hat and sunglasses laying there. And so, and I am going bald slash keep my hair, what little hair I have, short. And my God, it looked like I had a six head with all the freaking lights bouncing off of it. So I was like, and yeah, no, I'm not putting the picture up. So I got some more pictures the next morning when I got home and everything. But we snapped some pictures, got him cleaned up. And so this is where I thought it got really interesting. So when we had walked up, we tried to find the entrance hole because there was no exit. We tried to find the entrance, couldn't find it. And so I was like, all right, we'll get him cleaned up and see what was going on. So get him cut open, get all the guts out, and I kind of look in, and then when I sat there for a second. I was like, wait, nothing was really like destroyed, or like major damage. So I'll go back and look, and I'm trying to figure out exact. And so we cannot find a freaking entrance hole on this thing at all. And so I go back to the gut pile and I look, and the top of the heart is gone, and there is a hole through both lungs. So that, I mean, that was great. And so then we go back and looking on the inside, like all through the ribs. I run my hand all along the inside of the ribs, trying to find like a little tear. I can't find it at all. And so that honestly just super stumped us. And I was like, well, when I get him home tomorrow, I'll, and start cutting him up, I'll see what I can find. And so got home the next morning and started getting, meat cut up and everything. And I finally found the entrance hole. I hit him high. I hit him under the spine. So it made sense the way he acted and what Sloan had thought. I did hit him high. Just turns out my guess on where the yardage of where he walked out was a little off, but wind was pretty freaking spot on. I was very happy with that. It hit about inch and a half, 2 inches right of where I was aiming. It just hit high, but Uh, it did really surprise me that there was no exit or that it contained everything, but the bullet did well. I mean, he went 0 steps, and, like, I mean, obviously, that shock to the nervous system will do that, but, that the more I dig into and mess around with these different hunting setups, the more I'm really, really liking, these fast setups, and that was one, where it definitely made taking that kinda shot, more feasible in my mind, with having the, like, 110-yard gap, between where of not knowing where he was coming out, um and I mean, it was, I mean, I was happy with the estimate. It was just a little high, but, that 25.7, God, it just shoots so freaking good, and Sloan, and while we were watching him, and Sloan had asked if I could tell where I hit him, and, this is where I've talked about this a lot, like brakes and cans and different, setups, to control the recoil. I I love this setup. Like, I mean, it's a what I would probably consider like a midweight, long range setup, and the recoil impulse was great. It shook just enough that I didn't see where on him I hit. I watched him fall, but it was that split second. I didn't see the impact spot on him, but I like this setup a lot. It's incredibly flat. Did handled the wind very well. Um and the bullet, I mean, honestly, I didn't find it. And granted, I didn't super dig into it. I mean, you could definitely see where some like fragmentation happened and some things like that, but I definitely think this 25.7 is going to be a one that sticks around. So let me know what you think about that setup. The freaking camo job turned out just freaking unbelievable. The pictures on the Instagram are sick. It's this on the Really Right Stuff, two-piece tripod that I've got, that Dan Cerakoted, and it's the same pattern, but it's a slightly different color palette. I He did kind of a test color palette for me of something I wanted him to do, and it's pretty damn close to the Copperhead, but it is a little different. But those, I think the pictures turned out pretty good, and there's going to be some more. But yeah, so the hunt was a blast. Honestly, it was just go 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 pretty most of the damn day, and then we got him cleaned up, got him in the truck, and then we started coyote hunting. Um, Oh, and so I don't have it. It's here in front of the computer. I've got the Winkler hatchet, that we did for the trophies for the Dust Devil duel match. When those came in, I'm not a knife guy. It's one of those things. I don't half-ass anything that I try not. When I do something, I go all in. So like I said, like I'm getting the bow, we're going all in. I have to audit myself into like what freaking like hobbies and interests and shit that I get into, because I get into, like, when I get into it, I just get into it too much. So I purposefully I've always thought knives and blades and different types of things like that are very cool, and super appreciate the craftsmanship that goes into making these things. There's no way in hell I could do it. Um, I think there's that balance where you kind of gray that line between like a work of art, like a functional work of art where something is like bomb proof, but it's also like beautiful at the same time. That's how I felt about this Winkler hatchet when I got it. And um so I've always got it here on the desk, but I've always wanted a good hunting knife, and I didn't want to you know, go into the deep dive into the blade world, and start. And when I got this thing in, I was like, man, this thing is a functional work of art. I absolutely love it. So I ordered the one of their knives. It's the Blue Ridge Hunter, a couple months ago, and I took it to Colorado. Ended up not getting a bear, so didn't get to use it. But when I went to Doe Drop, cleaned all of my does with it and some of the other guys, and then cleaned this Aoudad. And so cleaned seven animals with it over the last week and a half, and I freaking love that knife. I hate that I accidentally left it at the house because I was getting it cleaned back up, but the Winkler stuff's been really cool. I'm so if you're a knife guy, like I said, I'm not getting super down into the weeds on them, but my God, I like stuff to look good, but I like it to work more than anything. And I've just been, typical guy shit. Took it out and just hacked shit with it, and same with the hatchet, and they're freaking tanks. And but the knife was nice. I really liked the balance and the feel and the cut and all that. It was nice. So the Winkler, I'm definitely gonna be holding on to that, and I will be doing some more stuff with them with the Dust Devil match in the future. So I'm a gear junkie, if y'all couldn't freaking tell. And so I appreciate nice stuff, and when I find nice things, I like to share. So speaking of nice things, I guess I'll let the cat out of the bag a little bit. I'm working on finalizing options and everything, but I'm 99.9% sure I'm gonna get the new Matthews arc that just came out, and I'm working on finalizing all the options and all the accessories that are gonna go on it and what the build is gonna look like. But I'm pretty sure that's what I'm gonna go with. So when I did have a bow, I always wanted a Matthews. I think there is an aesthetic to some of this stuff, and I think the Matthews have just always looked so freaking good. And when I got rid of the bow stuff, whenever I started getting really into all the rifle stuff, and I loved the bow. I never got to get a big game kill with it. I killed a few turkeys with it, and then I shot it a ton. Went and shot a few like local tournaments with it, and I loved shooting the bow, and I definitely could understand why guys got so into archery. And I was like, when I get back into it, I'm not gonna get back into it until I can do it and do it right. And we're doing we're doing it now. So I've been that Matthews looks, oh my God, it looks so freaking sick. So um I'll keep y'all posted on that. If that's the one I end up going with, and when it all comes together, and I'll go through the bow and what all set up I end up going with and all that. But let me know. So but I am genuinely for my archer guys, send me your setups. What if there's certain things that you think content would be cool, or have questions. I've been doing a ton of research, just like doing what I do. Like I said, I nerd out into everything that I do. So I'm going full in. I'm gonna be getting a press and cutting arrows and the whole 9 yards, and diving deep into this. So I'm excited to really get back into it and get shooting a bow again. But yeah, so that is the hunt. Let me know let me know what you think. I'm freaking amped about the Aoudad. So I'm gonna have a Euro. I'm gonna get it done in a Euro mount, and I gotta figure out. I really want to figure out a place here on the studio to put him. I don't know. I may replace this steer and put him here, or I may put him above it or something like that. I don't really know. Let me if you. I'm not good at this shit. My wife is what makes stuff look good. So if you have ideas on where this Aoudad head can go, let me know. I'm gonna try and get that done. Maybe over this Thanksgiving weekend. So actually, this will be another thing. If you do your own Euro mounts, uh, and you have any tips or tricks, let me know. I've done it. So I've done a handful of them. I used to boil them and freaking hated it. I'll never. I don't know. I did 4 or 5 that way. I'll never do it again. It just it was too much, and I hated the smell. But I had another Euro mount that I was going to get done last year, and then the place I took it to wanted way too much money. So they they were $450 to do a Euro mount, and I was like, no, I'll go buy went and bought a power washer instead. I'm like, I'll just do it myself. Um, so that's my and it works great. And so I'll probably try that with the Aoudad. But if you have any little tips or tricks for just getting the the last little bits of shit off, or getting the color right, because I did this Euro mount. Is this one I did? Yeah, I did that one. And like, I mean, the color turned out good, but it's kind of a pain in the ass to do. So yeah, I'm definitely up for suggestions. And then let me know what you think about the rifle. I really like how the 25-7 turned out. I've got some other barrels for that setup that I'll be doing more with. 7 PRC, 300 PRC. So I've got the 25-7. I think there's one or two others that I've got for that one. But I think so. Yeah, I'll put this out there. I'm putting a lot of questions out for y'all in this episode. I really do want some feedback. So I've got a lot of plans for like travel and matches and stuff for next year. I'm trying to kind of finalize what all I'm going to be going to, as far as a balance between PRS and NRL and other types of things. But with that, I'm really trying to put a focus on getting to be honest, I'm too busy to be able to put the time and effort into truly being competitive anymore. And I've really, like, I love it. But the business is growing and I love it, and I've got too many other things going on to try and podium at matches. I mean, I'm still gonna go and shoot and try to do the best I can, but I really want to get some good content and some things like that. And so especially on the hunting side, PRS is PRS. I've kind of got that figured out. But like for NRL Hunter and just general content, I'm thinking about just doing things a little different, and maybe rather than like trying to go win an NRL match, maybe taking it a little bit different setup or cartridge or something like that, and filming the match and kind of the whole experience with that. Let me know what y'all think. Like, do you like that? Do you think that would be interesting? If so, because like one of my ideas is taking this gun and putting my 7 PRC barrel on it and going to shoot an NRL Hunter match, and um either running like the Burger 180 hybrids, or like the Hornady 190 A tips, or the 190 EOLs, something like that. I think something like that would be cool. I have another idea. Well, it's just not done yet, but I'm not gonna fully commit because I don't have the gun yet. But I'm pretty sure I'm gonna shoot one of the NRL matches with my 300 Norma that's almost done next year and film that. So I'm just, it's stuff like that. So I'm trying to think of kind of some different just use scenarios and things that people will want to know or people will want to see. So if you got ideas of some different things, like, and I've got access to a bunch of different rifle builds and or cartridges, and and then I compete in PRS and NRL, and then with the bow stuff, we'll see what all comes with that. So if there's certain things, let me know while I'm kind of getting these selections put together. And then one I am gonna do, so I want to test, because with the speed of this 25-7, I really want to do a solid I'm looking at the hammer lines. I think one of those could be really cool. I know they've got some in the quarter boards, they've got some fairly heavy options, but um, I think with the speed out of that thing, it could be pretty wicked. But yeah, let me know what you think of the Hunt and the 25-7 PRC. Do you want one? You gonna get one? You should. Honestly, so these fast cartridges are just, they're gaining my interest more and more and more and more, and I'm messing around with them, and I'm really starting to like them and what you can do with them. So guys, I love you guys. I hope you love the hunt. Thank you for the messages and the text. I hope you had a freaking awesome Thanksgiving and your drunk uncle didn't piss you off too much. I love you guys. Thank you to the show sponsors: Alpha, Lone Peak, Collis, Foundations, Hawkins, West Texas Ordnance, Raven Rifles, and Botnia. You guys are awesome. I love you guys. I'll see you next week.